Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Friday, August 8th, 2025. I'm Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Ward Ahmed, and we've got a packed show for you today. Firstly, Saudi Arabia has deployed the first regional OpenAI models in a HUMAIN Groq partnership. And secondly, BCG has allegedly drafted plans to relocate Palestinians, but this time we actually have countries to list. So the UAE, Egypt, Jordan, and Somalia and Somaliland. Dhabi has secured 10-year rights to build sphere venues across the Middle East and North Africa. And finally, ADX onboards Egyptian-based Thndr as first remote retail trading member to boost market access.
The very first story today is very interesting. It's very timely as ChatGPT 5 has also come out. But Saudi Arabia has become the first Middle Eastern nation to deploy OpenAI's new open source models following a landmark partnership between sovereign AI company HUMAIN and US-based hardware firm Groq. This is not the X Groq, this is the other Groq. It's with a Q. The XAI Groq is GROK. So the GPT OSS 120 bytes and GPT OS 20B, basically bytes models, will operate within Saudi-based sovereign data centers, meeting the kingdom's regulatory and data sovereignty requirements.
HUMAIN, backed by the Public Investment Fund, chaired by Crown Prince Salman, had quietly launched ahead of a visit by U.S. President Donald Trump to Saudi. Now, since then, it has secured multi-billion-dollar agreements with NVIDIA, AMD, Qualcomm, and Amazon Web Services to expand AI infrastructure and strengthen U.S.-Saudi technological collabs.
Born in Jordan and raised in the United States, HUMAIN CEO Tariq Amin previously led Rakuten Symphony in Japan and Aramco Digital and played a key role in connecting over 400 million people in India to affordable high-speed internet through his work at Jio.
Now, the NVIDIA deal that HUMAIN signed basically includes them supplying them with 18,000 GB200 Grace Blackwell superchips for phase 1 of HUMAIN's AI factories, part of a 500 megawatt build powered by hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA's most advanced GPUs designed for large-scale AI processing.
Meanwhile, AMD has committed $10 billion over 5 years to deploy an additional 500 megawatts of AI hardware. This complements HUMAIN's $10 billion global venture fund aimed at investing in startups across the United States, Europe, and Asia.
And I think with this, what I'd also like to add about HUMAIN, yes, right now they're making great progress with OpenAI, but just a while ago, they actually revealed that they're developing a $10 billion venture capital fund. Now, a while ago, Noor Suaid, she's a really important woman in the Middle East because she's the first woman to IPO a company. And her company, Global Ventures, she basically came out and said that, in the region, we don't have VC funds that are large enough. She said that typically the number is around $250 million to $400 million. So the fact that you have HUMAIN here that's developing a VC fund that's around $10 billion, that number is exceeding all the venture capital funds that we have in the Middle East. So the work that they're doing is amazing.
And it's important that they're doing great because we have already in the region, one example, UAE with MGX, with all the funds that we have, the sovereign wealth funds, Mubadala, all these, they've played so much of a big role in making AI one of its core industries or sectors or categories where they're investing for diversification. And looking at Saudi making this company and then doing all of that, it's a great sign that Saudi Arabia is on the right track when it comes to AI especially.
But Majid, much more so than that, I think what I was also thinking about is, you obviously know the stereotypes that, Western people have about shuyukh, have about royals, have about Arabs in general. So I think for me, I was taking a look at this photo of HUMAIN, the entire launch, and then you had Crown Prince Salman right in the middle, and then behind him you have Jensen Huang, Larry Fink, Donald Trump standing there, and just even in general, the entire speech between Tariq Amin, the CEO heading HUMAIN, and Jensen Huang, did we honestly ever think that we would see something like that? I never thought that I would see these white people standing in Saudi Arabia doing all of this, lining up to meet the crown prince. I never thought that I would see this. I never thought that I would see them running, like quite literally running to take their chance at being in Saudi, being in the UAE. Like, are you deeping what I'm saying? I think this is something, like, it is crazy. I never thought I'd see it.
There's a very famous adage in business. It's called capital attracts capital. So
Yeah.
right now, these people have the capital. Everyone wants a piece of it. So make it a habit to see this now, because now it will be like the Arab leaders, the Arab AI leaders, the Arab national leaders, political leaders. You will see them standing in front, and all these white people that you're saying
But like
standing
Magic,
behind.
can you blame me for thinking like this though? Like,
No,
you
no,
remember,
it's not.
remember
It's a shift in the world that
Yeah.
everyone is noticing,
But
and
it's
you're
like,
also noticing
even
it.
like Anthropic's CEO, like we saw how he said, like, you know, this logic of not taking money from bad people is a really bad logic to run your business with.
Yeah.
We read that. We know how they think of the region. So for me, like, especially as a young person, like, I think I remember when Donald Trump came here and all of these billionaires came, and Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Jensen Huang, the Uber CEO, and they all lined up to go meet Crown Prince Salman.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know what? Next time we see them, I bet you they're going to be in the national dressing. They're going to be wearing it. Inshallah, they're going to be wearing it. I do think that's
most
going to
probably.
happen.
Yeah. But the whole story about this whole story is very important. It's very
Yeah.
technical that what's happening, obviously, the whole setup. But the main idea that you can take from this story is that Saudi Arabia is now coming shoulder to shoulder with UAE. UAE already is leading the world in a lot of things as far as AI is concerned. Their MGX biggest fund, Mubadala G42 partnership fund,
Yeah.
it's already at $100 billion evaluation. They want to double it to 200 billion by the end of the 2030. They're doing great. Everyone who wants money right now to build anything, not only AI infrastructure, anything, they're coming to this region. So that shows you that if you belong to this region or a part of this region or are living here as residents or whatever, you're in the best region to be right now in the world.
But
Europe,
Majid-
we've seen what's happening to them. Their economy is flailing. Trump, across the globe, he's having a fight with literally everyone over tariffs. He wants everyone to come to him and make a deal.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump came to the Middle East to make deals. This is a very symbolic representation of what the world is moving towards, what is the center of the gravity of the world
You're
right,
right,
now.
but I just realized something, by the way. So you have HUMAIN in Saudi. It just recently opened, literally in May when Donald Trump
Yeah.
came. They get their 18,000 NVIDIA chips from Jensen Huang. How come the UAE is not getting theirs fast enough? I think
They
that's what
will.
I'm thinking about, because basically the entire deal is that the UAE signed with NVIDIA is that basically they will get 20% of the NVIDIA chip shipment that will come to the UAE. And that 20%, I believe, is 20,000. And the other NVIDIA chips will go to the other American tech companies that are stationed, I believe, in Abu Dhabi specifically. And it's interesting how, like, US officials are pushing back on that shipment being given to the UAE. And for Saudi Arabia, the process has just gone very smoothly.
It's
like, why is that?
It's very simple. Saudi Arabia never did a lot of, obviously, they do a lot of trade with China as far as non-oil trade is concerned. Their oil, because China already buys oils from a lot of other players. Russia is the closest, that is why they're more dependent on Russian oil. So Saudi Arabia never had a connection with China in terms of technology transfers. Obviously, a lot of technology there is Chinese. That's the whole world right now. But UAE, in the start, when they tried to become good in technology, not talking about the AI era, the tech era, when Big Four and all these things were cool, nearly 10 years ago, they were very big on Chinese technology. I think we talked about it, the G42, all the infrastructure was built on Chinese technology. That is why US has a problem with it, because they
Right.
don't want their technology there, because the Chinese are very good at replicating whatever they see. They see a thing, they'll make exactly a replica of it. And not just a replica, they'll make 3 quality replicas. So there'll be A quality, B quality, C quality. You want a cheaper version of the same thing, they'll give it to you for a cheaper price, and then they'll make the highest quality version. So that is one of the concerns that the US has. And as soon as we did remove that concern, the UAE removed all the Chinese infrastructure, the tools, the literally the skills also to an extent. And they brought in all the Western US based people. They brought in their chips, their infrastructure, their computer, their monitors, their literally everything, their wiring even. So now I think that is the only concern for the US Senate, which is deliberating that if these chips are safer to send to them.
Yeah.
Because we recently saw that Intel chips were smuggled to China. So a lot of those chips have been smuggled to China. Jensen Huang recently, we talked about it, got approval to send H2O chips. So H2O was the earlier version, then we had H100s, 200s,
Yeah.
and now the latest one is the Blackwell versions. So now they have the Blackwell version. UAE already has access to H100s and 200s. So we actually want the Blackwell one now. So it's
Right.
basically one chip working for 10 H200
I see what you're
chips.
saying because even recently we published this story about how Saudi Arabia is open to receiving Huawei imports.
Yeah.
And so I see what you're saying there in terms of, I guess the U.S. felt safe because, you know, Saudi wasn't so deeply entrenched in, you know, Chinese
tech,
business.
yeah.
But you know what it also is with Saudi, and I know that this is like really simple observation, Majid. I think that it's honestly the perfect location for data centers because Saudi is so large, you know, comparatively to its Gulf allies like, you know, Qatar and the
more oil
UAE.
also.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
so the
really
energy
large.
demands, yeah.
Their land is so good, and because they have so much land, they, you know, there's so much potential for more AI infrastructure to be built. However, I am aware that there's climate implications here.
Yeah.
I was watching this video, Majid, and I found it so concerning. Basically, it was about this AI data center that's being built in like Arizona in America, and this lady and her husband, they bought a house there. They had bought this house for a while. And she basically just like did a tour with this news anchor where essentially she was showing her house how dirty the water is that comes out. Like she was showing everything, the infrastructure. And because that really large data center is right beside her house, everything is just disgusting, to be honest with you. And I just feel really bad for these, like, you know, these middle class people who probably spent all of their life savings to build their home. So I'm aware that there's climate implications, but the more land.
Yeah, you need water to cool down the whole data center because those chips work 24/7. You need cooling down. It's a very basic thing. If you go to your companies, if you're watching, if you go to your company's IT department, they will have a small server room where they'll have everything set up, and that room will be the coolest room in the whole building, in the whole facility. So data centers just maximize it like 100, 1000%. You need to cool them down. Saudi Arabia, there's a temperature problem, but Saudi Arabia and has another advantage. They have cooler regions, the mountainous regions, Alula and all these places. They're cooler than the desert that we think Saudi Arabia is. So those places are ideal. You can build them there. Water is not a problem, I think, because we have desalination at the largest extent possible in the world. I think UAE, Saudi, all these people, they live on desalinated water. So that is not also a problem. Energy is not a problem because you're very highly oil country, so you can have energy as well. So all these things make this place the best place to be right now.
Yeah.
Because the energy consumption, if you go to any country in Europe right now, you'll pay, I think, at least double to run a data center, only in energy terms. These countries, it's cheaper. That is why I also. So it's capital, it's the best environment, it's money to run those data centers. There's hundreds of reasons that you can list to make Middle East the best next AI infrastructure giant in the world. And it is being built. You see Stargate is being built in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, in the AI complex that was announced when Mr. Trump was here. HUMAIN will eventually build a data center. Saudi, you remember we did a story about Musk also finding a data center in Saudi Arabia and then renting it out for it.
And Hussein Sajwani is building a data center
there's a lot
in
happening. The main idea is UAE, Middle East. Again, we always talk about business terms, but even in AI terms, all the terms, they are here to stay. And the next 10, 20, 30 years, this region is the center of the world.
It
you
is,
like it or not.
but not all companies should be here to stay.
Yeah.
And this just brings me to my topic of Boston Consulting Group. So they basically created detailed models evaluating the relocation of Palestinians from Gaza to countries including Somalia, Somaliland, Egypt, Jordan, and the UAE, according to an exclusive piece by the Financial Times. Now, the model assumed 25% of Gaza's population, about 525,000 people, would voluntarily relocate at a cost of $9,000 per person.
That figure totals nearly $5 billion for the entire program. US officials reportedly held preliminary talks with Somaliland's separatist authorities, exploring an agreement involving a US military base in exchange for formal recognition of Somaliland's independence as part of the relocation concept.
So the model projected population movements, economic impacts, rent and food subsidies, and an estimated, and I think this one for me was like a shocker, $4.7 billion in economic benefits for host nations over 4 years. So like if you're the UAE, if you're Jordan, if you're Egypt, Somaliland, in this case, and you decide to host Palestinians for over 4 years, I'm guessing that, you would receive that sum, or they're basically estimating how it could, as a society, improve your economy. But it drew from proposals developed during the Trump administration era, where he kept saying that Gaza is a piece of real estate.
And BCG's lead consultant, Matt Schluter, allegedly ignored orders not to work on Gaza reconstruction without affected population involvement. He reportedly coordinated via Signal, one of the apps, and BCG fired Schluter and colleague Ryan Ordway, cancelling related invoices after the work came to light.
So the firm's CEO issued an internal apology stating the modeling and Gaza Humanitarian Foundation work were unauthorized and concealed from senior leadership. Now, several NGOs suspended cooperation, while the Wilmer Hale investigation that was basically carried out into the entire matter with the court remains confidential. They basically said that they're not going to release it.
Yeah, and I think it shouldn't be released because it will make us feel more bad, because whatever goes behind, I think me and Onboards were talking about it yesterday, that how these things happen in the background, and this is just one of the things that actually came to light. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes, what plans are being made for countries for the next 10 years, 15 years, and this has been a playbook, very typical playbook used by the West, to be honest. Even when it comes to business, this is a business consultancy. They're making plans to relocate people from their own country. And recently, yesterday, everyone reported that Netanyahu and his war council, the Israeli prime minister, they've given a green light to taking over all of Gaza now militarily. So that is one development that we have to keep an eye on. And this plan, this news, everything that you see has such weird implications for the region. You don't know what's happening.
No, and I think with all of this, it ties directly into what we just heard yesterday, that basically in a joint investigation by The Guardian and by the Israeli-Palestinian publication Plus 972 magazine in a Hebrew language outlet called Local Call, they basically discovered that the Israeli army, well, more specifically, Unit 8200, has been storing millions of Palestinian calls in Microsoft's Azure. And I think when you take a look at all of this, Majid, and Majid brought up this good point of, there's probably more people that are complicit and we don't know who they are. And this is kind of what brings me to my point of, I truly do think that probably a lot of these Western American tech giants, some of them probably wanted to contribute to what Israel is doing. They probably wanted to fund it, but they were probably broke. That's what I think happened here. Because the companies, what I've noticed, Majid, is there is a trend. The companies that have come to light, and we can clearly see that they're funding what's going on, what's a common trend. They're all they're extreme giants, and they have a lot of money. other companies, they probably did want to, but they don't have the money. And the only way for them to do it is to probably ask their employees for like salary cuts. And not every employee is going to say yes. I think a way that this was actually done in Israel itself was through the teachers. So basically what happened is they asked to take salary cuts from Israeli teachers, and they put the percentage budget at 3.3%, but then obviously they rioted. There was a lot of, anger involved there, and the consensus that was reached that the salary cuts that would be implemented to teachers' salaries in Israel would go from 3.3% to 0.95%.
Nice.
And so this is the way that this keeps getting funded. And I just honestly,
it's the big corporations. You look at the last budget that Israel pulled out. It was decided nearly like 15 days before the whole cabinet, the whole parliament, everything would have been dissolved. They just came out with a very quick wartime kind of a budget. And there is this one point in that budget that I realized was important. We didn't discuss it. Is that the tax that every country collects in terms of income tax, personal tax, this tax, that tax, corporation taxes, you use that to build infrastructure within your country. You make parks, you make schools, you make public schools, you make your people who live in your country, their lives better. Israel is using nearly 60% of that budget for war now. So imagine the money that they could have easily used to make Israelis more safer, have them get better lives. They're using that to kill people in a land which belongs to them. So that is the irony of all of this, that there is money which can be used for the goodwill of the people, of your own people. It's not just other people, it's your own people. You can use it for their goodwill. But you're using it instead to bomb other people.
Majid, just back to the topic of BCG, I think what's crazy is what was discovered is that the entire relocation estimate model actually included Israeli businessmen from Tel Aviv, and that in collaboration with BCG, they signed contracts that are up to $4 million. And I think this kind of brings me to my point of, once again, this is why we need Middle Eastern leaders that are heading companies that are based here. I know that they don't directly link, but with HUMAIN, what I particularly love about them, and it's different to having like Peng Zhao lead G42, is that they hired Tariq Amin. While Tariq Amin is somebody who grew up in America all of his life, in the end of the day, he's Jordanian, right? Yeah. So he knows the region. And then PwC just very recently, they hired a Middle East head for their global company. And what's his name? He's called Riyad Al-Najjar. To basically lead the Middle East, and he's based in Saudi. And these are the kind of changes in leadership that we need. And I just think, with this entire story, like, their excuses don't even make sense. Like, senior leadership didn't know. What do you mean you didn't know? Like, you would just let your employee, like, you're telling me that I as an employee can go and waste company resources and get away with it? That doesn't make sense, because in the end of the day, like, those are company resources. These are contracts that are worth millions of dollars. Do you really think that the accounting books upstairs are just like approving this? These
are scapegoats.
They're
very
lying.
Simple words.
They're truly lying, because you have to get expenses approved in a company. You can't just take funds and like no one will bat an eye. Like, what is this? It's just
The idea is, one, they got an scapegoat. They made them the scapegoats. Most probably these people like were a part of just signing something, or they were not even a part of it. And
we don't even know who the main character is here.
So you will never know. That's the story about. That's the clever thing about all these stories. Whenever big companies they get into trouble, there's always an scapegoat. You'll never say that, oh, Bill Gates was involved or Microsoft was involved or this. It's always, oh, that guy did it.
Right now for Microsoft,
and we're firing him.
It's Satya Nadella.
Yeah.
It's definitely him.
So, that's happening, but there's good news. And finally, after October 24, we have another update on Sphere, because I've been talking about constantly that we need. I actually emailed the Abu Dhabi Department of Culture and Tourism. I emailed Sphere Entertainment. I literally emailed everyone just to find out what's happening. But finally, we have an update. Abu Dhabi's Department of Culture and Tourism has signed a deal granting it exclusive rights to build Sphere entertainment venues across the Middle East and North Africa for at least 10 years. So it's not just Abu Dhabi sphere that we will see being built by Abu Dhabi Culture and Abu Dhabi DCT basically. It is going to be all the MENA spheres that will be built. If it's in Dubai, if it's in Riyadh, if it's anywhere. It's Abu Dhabi DCT that will make it. And this was revealed, again, not by an announcement, but according to a US Securities and Exchange Commission filing, which Sphere Entertainment did.
And the agreement with US-based Sphere Entertainment follows last year's announcement of Sphere Abu Dhabi. Now, while the capital's venue has not confirmed an opening date or location, it will be the first Sphere built outside the United States.
And the original Sphere, which opened in Las Vegas in 2023, stands 115 meters tall, is 157 meters wide, with a 20,000 seat capacity, the biggest spherical structure in the world, basically. It features a 16K wraparound screen, and that is why when you see the visuals, you see some graphics going on outside also. And it has hosted acts like U2, the Eagles, and Backstreet Boys. I think Backstreet Boys was the most famous one.
And Sphere Las Vegas cost $2.3 billion to build, making it the city's most expensive venue. Now, Abu Dhabi's DCT chairman, Mohammed Khalifa Al Mubarak, says the project will blend advanced technology with storytelling, delivering world-class immersive experiences.
And Sphere Entertainment CEO James Dolan called the Abu Dhabi deal a milestone in the company's vision for a global network of venues aiming to redefine live entertainment and expand immersive cultural offerings worldwide. And as Ward said, it's the new Burj Khalifa.
No, I just listen because I'm not really much of a person who's interested in infrastructure, as I can clearly see Majid is. I didn't know about all those emails, guys. I really didn't. But it's just I understand the significance because it's like it's a bowl. It's being built. It's really big. You know, this is exciting. It's new infrastructure. But Majid, tell me why this excites you so much. Like, I need to know.
It's a new thing, actually. Again, I'll give you a very weird reason, and it's because
I've never
I'm a
seen
Pakistani.
him smile this much.
I'm a Pakistani. I have a green passport. I can't travel to the US so easily. And it's one of the amazing things that you see the Sphere. It's very
Majid,
nice.
I think my passport is banned.
Yeah, so see.
So, me too.
So it's very exciting to see something which it's impossible for us to go to see. And it's coming to Abu Dhabi, right next to us, 1.5 hour drive from us. So that is why, again, Disneyland, all these attractions, one of the best things about them is you have to go to other countries, travel, and then if you have weird passports, again, like us, you will have bans and this and that, and the visa process is so big. Yesterday, my wife applied, again, Pakistani passport story, she applied for the Swiss visa. There was a 80-page bank statement that she had to attach, and then there were like 10 documents that she had to attach, and even then it's not an surety, it'll be a this and that and blah and blah and blah. So it's very difficult. So that is why I think it's not even us, Pakistan, Sudan, other countries. It's a lot of countries that are in the down list of those passport index, the last 50, 60 countries, right? They can easily travel to the UAE. That's the good thing about UAE. You can travel easily. The visa process is not that complicated that you have to attach like a 100-page financial statement with it. So that is why all these things coming, they excite me and they make me happy for other people as well.
Right.
Because now everyone can have access to world-class these facilities.
Disneyland soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be here.
It's the good thing is all those people will finally be able to see. Like I grew up with the idea of Disneyland, never been to it, but now in 3-4 years I will be able to see it. Right?
It's so worth it, Majid.
That's the good
Disneyland
thing.
is so worth it.
I was so happy with SeaWorld because SeaWorld is one of the places. Water life always amazes me. Like my greatest thing that I want to do, like the most, what do you call it? People want to jump from planes and helicopters and all that. My dream is to swim with the whales.
Aww.
Yeah, so it's very dangerous. That is why I'm very attracted to sea life. So when SeaWorld came, and the first time I went there with my son, I loved it. And we're going on Saturday again. It's the 3rd trip. I love it so much. So again, a lot of people in the world have these dreams of going to places and seeing otter and all these things in front of them. They can't travel. That's the problem. And UAE is building all these things for them. Yeah, like, come.
Yeah,
enjoy.
That's amazing. And I think with this Sphere, you know, the fact that the first one was in Las Vegas and then you have the second one coming to Abu Dhabi, Wynn Casino, Las Vegas, Wynn Casino is coming here. But I think for me with this entire story, what actually stood out to me is the fact that the deal is 10 years.
Yeah.
It's 10 years, you have Abu Dhabi, and they can basically take it and they can build it across the Middle East and North Africa. For me, that's what specifically impressed me, Majid, because it's like, I've said this before, but what they're doing is just a complete takeover.
Yeah.
When it's not just in oil anymore, it's in gold, it's in infrastructure, it's quite literally in every single industry. And so that's why when I saw that story, I'm like, wow, you guys are not going to leave anything to anyone.
And if just to tell you a bit about Sphere, I don't have first-person experience. I have a second-person experience. Rich told me he went, and here is just a very different feeling sitting in that stadium inside. In that Sphere inside, because the screens are curved. It feels all around you. And the best example that I can give you, if you've been to Expo 2020 and if you've been in the Wassel Dome, so whenever there was a musical performance, I loved how the voice, the sounds, they would surround you. So you'll see the birds there in your brain. You can feel the birds are in front, and then they'll move around. So imagine that on a bigger scale in this fair. So it's going to be a great experience. Obviously, let's see. Soon enough, they'll announce the dates. We are hoping they'll announce the dates soon enough, and we'll tell you obviously on Smashi Business. And the last story is a startup story, which is one of the most sought out startups in Egypt. The problem with them was they never expanded out of Egypt, but now they have actually, but remotely. So the Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange, ADX, which is the Abu Dhabi stock market, has welcomed Thndr. Very, again, play on the spelling, THNDR, a leading MENA retail investment platform, as its first remote retail trading member. We'll explain what that is. But ADX is the largest exchange in the UAE. It's bigger than DFM and among the top 20 globally by market capitalization.
So Thndr, a Hub 71-backed startup regulated by ADGM's Financial Services Regulatory Authority, recorded over $13 billion in trading value in 2024 with 12 million trades. This is an Egyptian-based company here that we're talking about now. Its app has over 4 million downloads, offering stocks, gold, mutual funds, and more across UAE, Egypt, and the US markets.
And Thndr users will soon invest directly in some of the UAE's most valuably listed companies and ETFs via its mobile platform, reflecting ADX's drive to connect Abu Dhabi with global capital and promote financial inclusion.
So remote trading membership enables investors and brokers to trade ADX securities without needing physical UAE presence. Now, the strategy aims to diversify the investor base, attract foreign investment, boost liquidity, and increase trading activity.
And supporting ADX's Tabadul digital exchange platform, basically, Thndr's onboarding aligns with Abu Dhabi's vision of a global investment hub. ADX's 83.1 trillion market cap marks it as the GCC's best performing market over the past decade, over Qatar, over Saudi Arabia,
that is a very
over
big
everyone.
number.
Yeah. The most important thing is you go to, if you Google ADX and get their app, you can't directly start trading on it. You need a stockbroker in between. A lot of banks are involved. A lot of other companies are involved. Now with Thndr, you can. You can directly register Thndr, and you'll have ADX equities to buy from. So Abu Dhabi companies who are listed. Biggest ones are ADNOC. Then you have Alpha Dhabi, which recently listed start of the year. Didn't do great, but all of them, you can now start trading on them. Very first time in the UAE history this has happened, that they've given access to one of the apps. And the funny thing is, there is an app already which is Abu Dhabi based, which I use also, and we do a lot of stories.
Sarwa, it's by Mark Chawan and Nadine Mashar. There's Nadine Mashar and there's a third guy.
Yeah. So that app was already there. They could have done it, but no, Thndr came like a thunder. Actually, the picture where they're announcing or doing the thing, it says the Thndr is here in Abu Dhabi. So it's a very nice tagline. But yeah, they're doing it. Most probably Sarva will also jump on the trade. We are getting a lot of apps from the region now. I remember the first time I asked here someone that if I want to do trading in this region, what is the local app? And they were like, eToro. And I was like, eToro is not local. eToro is an Israeli startup. They are here. They're like certified and verified, and they have a license from ADGM, Abu Dhabi Global Market, but they're not local. And then we found out Sarva and now Thndr. I found out, but they were not doing it a lot of work here. But now you can use Thndr to buy ADX stocks as well. DFM should also take a note, and they should also start doing this.
Yeah, but I think, this entire story, much more so than that, it speaks to the success of Egypt. They're having a lot of successes this year.
Yeah.
We just saw how recently Wilt was able to raise, I believe, $2 million. It's basically this platform where you can make Arabic websites. And then we also saw the success of Breadfast, their valuation going up to over $300 million. And then, we're seeing Swivel, they're expanding into the UK. All of these companies, they're regional successes. It's a sign that things are moving forward.
And the good thing is, you remember we did this discussion, last thing before we wrap up the show for today.
Yeah.
We did the discussion that a lot of founders that we now see of a lot of unicorns or a lot of big companies, Hussam, he was at Namshi, all these guys were there.
Yeah.
Egypt has the exact same format. When you see these all startups, you find them working somewhere. There's a startup, I won't call it a startup, they call it a startup. It's called Fori. I think.
Fori?
Yeah. That is very old. They started digital
Yeah.
payment infrastructure in Egypt. They're one of the starting companies which did that. So a lot of these people, they worked at Fori or they
Yeah.
worked for the founder. So that is one. M&T Halan is a unicorn from Egypt. M&T Halan, a lot of there's two founders of that. I remember their faces. I always forget their name. They also worked with a lot of these founders of the Civil guy, Mustafa. They have worked. So they also have a very closely knit network where they've worked with each other in different capacities. So it's nice to see that we have a regional big circle of startup founders who know each other, and then we have local city-based, Emirates-based, country-based startups where they know each other.
Yeah.
It actually builds a Silicon Valley of the Middle East, where Silicon Valley, to be honest, is not, I personally feel it's not about what they build there. Silicon Valley is very famous that they come up with this idea, new idea. I actually feel the importance of Silicon Valley is that all these people are accessible to you. If you are in Silicon Valley, you have access to every literal genius or innovator or this guy. Likewise, Middle East is also creating their own cohort, a whole setup where you know people.
It's if you have access to Dubai and Riyadh. I think definitely those two cities. And that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. A big shout out to our 2.5 million monthly listeners across all platforms on the Augustus Media Podcast Network. You make this possible. If you're one of them, we appreciate you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday again.